Welcome to Thai Movie Recap. Tonight, we're stepping into a different kind of horror. Not the haunted house, not the angry ghost hiding in a mirror, but the kind of horror that's born inside the human mind, where curiosity and grief collide. This is Ghost Lab, a 2021 Thai psychological horror from GDH, directed by Paween Purijitpanya. It's the story of two doctors, best friends, who decided to prove that life after death is real. One night, inside the white fluorescent glow of a hospital corridor, Dr. Wee, calm, serious, almost too logical, walks beside Dr. Glah, bright-eyed, reckless, burning with questions. Glah, excited whisper, "Wee, do you think ghosts exist?" Wee, flatly, "I don't. I believe in data. Proof." Glah, smirks. "Then let's find some." They work the night shift at a Thai hospital, the kind of place where the air feels heavy even when it's clean, where every corridor ends with a door that leads to silence, and where death isn't rare, it's routine. On one of those long nights, Glah and Wee are called to a patient who's dying, a woman, old, thin, barely breathing. Her family prays beside her bed. The monitor beeps slower. Glah, softly, "She's gone." But before they can cover her face, the impossible happens. The woman sits up, her eyes open, her lips move, whispering something neither of them understands, and then she collapses again, dead. For Glah, that moment changes everything. For Wee, it becomes a problem that science must solve. That night, while everyone else goes home, Glah walks through the dim hallway, staring at the door to the morgue. His reflection wavers in the glass. He whispers to himself, "Glah, if ghosts exist, I'll find one." And that's where their experiment begins. They call it Project Lazarus. Their mission? To prove the existence of the afterlife. They record every death in the hospital. They measure electric impulses from the body. They track the moment when life ends. And what, if anything, lingers. At first, it's just research, until something, or someone, starts watching them back. When you look for ghosts long enough, you stop realizing that maybe you are becoming one. The night after the woman's death, Glah can't sleep. He stares at the ceiling of his small apartment, eyes wide open, the hum of the air conditioner blending with the pulse in his head. He replays that moment again and again, the old woman's body jolting up, eyes empty but aware, her whisper, a sound like air through broken glass, and then silence. Glah, to himself whispering, "It wasn't the brain. It wasn't reflex. She came back." He sits up, pulls out his phone and types, "Consciousness after death. Documented cases." Screens flash, articles about near-death experiences, spiritual anomalies, and one phrase that keeps repeating, the moment of departure. By dawn, he's not tired, he's inspired. When he meets Dr. Wee the next morning, his eyes are alive. Glah, "Wee, we can do it! We can measure the moment the soul leaves." Wee shrugs. "You're serious?" Glah, "Dead serious." They begin with small things, a body monitor, an EEG, a heart sensor, and cameras set up around the ward. Every time a patient is close to death, Glah records it. Hours of data, lines of numbers. Until one night, a man collapses in the ER. Doctors rush, nurses shout, but amid the chaos, Glah presses record. The flat line appears on the screen, and for a split second, a shadow moves across the monitor. Not in the room, on the screen itself. Glah, whispering, "Wee, did you see that?" Wee, stern, "It's noise. A glitch." Glah, "No, it's something leaving." From that moment, the experiment consumes them. They work every night, connecting machines to dying patients, collecting every flicker, every trace of energy. Glah begins to look exhausted, pale, his hands trembling as he reviews the footage. He starts talking to himself. Glah, muttering, "If you're still here, show me." One night, he hears it again. 3 knocks, soft, deliberate. Glah calling out, "Wee, that you?" He opens the freezer door. Mist spills out. Inside, nothing. Then, a shadow darts behind him. He spins around and sees the reflection of a woman in the stainless steel door. Eyes blank, mouth open. And the whisper, ghost, distorted voice, "Stop watching us." He falls back, trembling, as Wee rushes in. Wee, "What the hell happened?" Glah, panting, "She talked to me." Wee, "She who?" Glah, "The patient. The one from last week." Wee, angry, "You're hallucinating, Glah. You haven't slept in days." Glah, "No, I saw her." Wee tries to pull him back to reality, but curiosity is contagious. Soon, even Wee can't help it. He starts rewatching the videos, frame by frame, and at minute 317 of one recording, he sees it too. A face, pale, half-formed, appears near the body for less than a second. Not a trick of light, not a shadow, a presence. We, softly. Glah might be right. And so they push further, building better equipment, recording at higher frequencies. They want to catch the soul leaving the body. Glah writes in his notebook, hypothesis: the human soul emits energy measurable in EMF field at death. We adds beneath it, objective: find proof before faith takes over. Night after night, they chase death like a moving shadow, until death starts chasing back. Every great discovery begins with obsession, but obsession always asks for something in return. Weeks pass. Glah and we stop talking about normal things. No jokes, no lunch breaks, just wires, screens, and death. Inside a small research room they've claimed as their lab, a whiteboard stands covered in equations and blurry photos of patients, faces half lit by fluorescent light, half swallowed by darkness. Glah, writing. Energy reading, 7.2 milligauss at 0004 seconds post-death. We, correcting him. No, that's background radiation. You're reading noise. Glah, irritated. Then explain this. He plays back a video. A dying man, still for minutes after flatline. And then suddenly, a surge in the EMF reader. The man's body doesn't move, but the lights flicker. A glass tumbler rolls across the table. We, frowning. Maybe a power fluctuation. Glah, shaking his head. Or maybe that's him, saying goodbye. They name it event number 24, the first proof of the afterlife. They document it, record it, analyze it. For days, Glah can't stop watching that one clip. The moment the lights flicker, as if the soul's energy burst through the room. But the more he watches, the more he starts hearing something underneath the static. He slows it down, amplifies it, and there, in between the noise, whisper, distorted female voice. Don't look. Glah freezes, his skin crawls. He replays it again and again. Each time, the whisper grows louder. Glah, shaking, whispering, "We, come listen to this." We puts on the headphones. His face goes pale. We, that's not possible. Glah, grinning. No, we, that's proof. The project escalates. Soon, they start doing things no doctor should. They time the moment of death. They manipulate conditions. They even whisper to patients on their last breath. Talk to us when you cross over. Some of the nurses start whispering about them. They say Dr. Glah talks to empty rooms, that he stares too long at the morgue's freezer door, that he smiles when the alarms go off. We tries to stay rational. He writes everything in data logs. He still believes he's a scientist, not a believer. But something cracks the illusion. One evening, We walks into the elevator alone. As the doors close, he notices the floor indicator flickers. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then stops. He presses the button. Nothing. The lights dim. The hum of electricity fades. And in the corner of the reflective metal, a woman stands behind him. We, frozen whisper. Glah? No answer. He turns slowly. No one there. Then, the elevator jolts. The doors open. He steps out into a floor that shouldn't exist. Dark, unlit, empty. He sees stretchers lined up, covered in white sheets. And at the end of the hallway, a woman in a patient gown stands still. Her hair hangs over her face. Her bare feet glide silently across the tile. Ghost, soft, whispering. Do you still not believe? We stumbles back, breathing hard. The elevator doors slam shut behind him. When he opens his eyes again, he's back on the main floor. Everything normal, everything bright. But something inside him has changed. From that day on, We stops arguing with Glah. He stops denying. He starts listening. Two scientists, one chasing belief, the other running from it, finally meet in the same darkness. Their friendship, their sanity, and their morals are now at stake. And when you seek the dead for too long, eventually you start to envy them. There's a saying among doctors, the hardest part of saving lives is watching them slip away. But for Glah and We, watching death isn't pain anymore. It's data, it's proof, and that's what makes it terrifying. They've built what they call the interface, a machine connecting EEG, EMF, and thermal sensors, everything designed to capture one moment, the separation of life from the body. They test it again and again. Each time the readings spike, but never the same way. No pattern, no certainty. Glah starts muttering to himself again, scribbling equations that stop making sense. He's sleeping 2 hours a night, drinking coffee like medicine. We, concerned. Glah, you need rest. Glah, distantly. We're close. We're so close, you can feel it, right? That chill in the air? We, that's just the AC. Glah, smiling faintly. No, that's her, the one who came back. The whispers start to follow him. In the hallways, the bathroom mirror, even the reflection on the metal trays. He stops noticing when he's talking to the living or the dead. Then one day, it happens. A young man, mid-20s, motorcycle crash victim, severe brain injury, no chance of survival. Glah sees opportunity. He rushes to the ER, dragging the interface machine. We, shocked. Glah, what are you doing? Glah, urgent. If we capture this right, we'll have the moment. The real proof. We, he's still alive. Glah, he's already gone. Look at him. The nurses protest, but Glah pushes through, connecting electrodes to the dying man's temples, setting up cameras around the bed. The monitor flatlines. The EMF spikes. And then, the young man's body convulses violently. For a split second, the lights flicker. A shadow bursts from the chest. A dark silhouette, human-shaped but rippling like smoke. And it screams. Glah, overwhelmed, whispering, "Oh my God, it's real." The lights shatter. Everything goes black. When the emergency lights return, the patient is still. But so is Glah's heart. He's on the floor, barely breathing. We rushes to him. His pulse faint, his eyes glassy. We, stay with me, man. Stay with me. Glah coughs, gasping. Glah, weakly. She touched me. We, who? Glah, smiling, tears falling. The proof. He collapses into unconsciousness. Sound. Low, steady heartbeat, hospital monitor rhythm. He survives, barely, but something inside him doesn't come back. He stops speaking for a week. When he finally does, his first words aren't to we. They're to the empty corner of the room. Glah whispering, "Thank you." We can't shake what he saw either. The shadow, the surge. He replays the footage dozens of times. There's no trick, no glitch, only that impossible image. He starts to understand what Glah meant, that some questions shouldn't be answered. But Glah can't stop. He becomes consumed. He sneaks into the morgue at night, setting up experiments alone. He talks to corpses like old friends. Glah, softly, "Can you hear me? You showed me once. Show me again." Then, faintly, a whisper. Ghost, female, gentle. "You'll see more, if you give more." Glah, startled. "What do you mean?" No answer. He looks down at his hands, shaking, and sees faint bruises forming on his wrists, like fingers had gripped him. When the man stares long enough into death, death starts to stare back. We finds Glah the next morning, his lab filled with melted candles, chalk markings on the floor like a ritual. We, furious. "What are you doing?" Glah, "They want balance, we. You can't just take without giving." We, "You sound insane." Glah, smiling faintly. "Maybe that's the price of knowing." That's when tragedy strikes again. One rainy evening, Glah drives home, eyes heavy, hands trembling. He looks in the rearview mirror and sees her, the woman from his first sighting, sitting in the back seat, pale, silent. Glah, whispering, "Are you real?" She leans forward, her eyes hollow, her mouth open, dripping water. Ghost, softly, "Now you are." Glah dies instantly. We arrives at the hospital too late. He stares at the body of his best friend, a man who chased proof until proof consumed him. But as he looks down at the still face, he feels something else, a spark of envy. Because now, Glah might know. And that's how it begins again. Grief turns into purpose. Purpose becomes madness. We decides to continue the experiment, alone. But this time, he's not searching for data. He's searching for Glah. 3 days after Glah's death, the hospital feels heavier, like the walls remember him, like the air itself is still holding its breath. We walks through the empty corridors late at night, his shoes echoing softly. He passes the ER, the same place where Glah captured the impossible. He stops. The interface machine, still there. Burnt wires, melted connectors, and one screen still flickering with static. We, softly. "Glah." He touches the screen. It warms under his fingers. Alive. Then, through the static, a voice. Glah, distorted. "We, I saw it. It's real." We stumbles back, eyes wide. We, whispering, "No, no, this can't be." The screen glitches, and for one split second, he sees Glaw's reflection on the surface of the monitor. Half smile, half decay. From that night on, Wee starts hearing things. A cough behind him when he's alone, footsteps following him down the corridor, and mirrors, always fogging up, even when the air is dry. At first, he blames the stress, but then the hospital CCTV catches something. A frame at 2:13 a.m. A man in a lab coat, Glaw's coat, walking through the hallway toward the morgue. Head tilted, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Wee, muttering to himself, "No, no, you're gone, you're gone." He replays the footage a dozen times. Same movement, same pace. And then, in the last few frames, the figure turns to the camera and smiles. Wee decides to follow the trail. He waits until after midnight, grabs the hospital keycard, and walks into the morgue. He turns on a flashlight. The beam cuts through mist. Rows of cold drawers. Silence. Then, a whisper. Glaw, softly. "Wee, you came." Wee, terrified. "Where are you?" Glaw, closer now. "Everywhere you look." He spins around, and there in the reflection of the metal cabinet, Glaw's face stares back. Pale, hollow, but smiling like he's proud. Wee, choked voice. "Why are you here?" Glaw, echoing. "You wanted proof. Now you have it." Wee, "This isn't proof. This is madness." Glaw, "Madness is just truth that no one else accepts." Inside, a patient's body, eyes wide open, and written on its chest in dried blood, "See me." Wee collapses to the floor, gasping. The room spins, lights flicker, and in every reflection, on metal, on glass, even on the floor, Glaw stands there smiling. He screams. The next morning, Wee wakes up in his apartment. No memory of how he got there, but his hands are covered in blood. He runs to the sink, scrubbing them clean. As the water runs red, he looks up, and in the mirror, Glaw stands behind him. Glaw, calmly. "You can't wash it away. Not anymore." Wee, panicked. "What do you want from me?" Glaw, "You promised me, remember? We'd finish this together." Wee, "You're dead." Glaw, "And you're halfway there." That moment breaks him. Wee becomes obsessed, just like Glaw once was. He begins recording himself, leaving the camera on through the night, reviewing hours of footage, frame by frame, looking for a sign. And he finds one. At 3:07 a.m., as he sleeps, a figure leans over him, places a hand on his chest, and whispers, "Let me in." Wee jolts awake, gasping. He checks the footage, and the handprint is there. Cold, pale, translucent. He touches his chest. Still warm. He knows now what Glaw meant. You can't take without giving. So Wee decides to give. He writes a note. To prove life after death, one must step into it. Then he sets up the interface again, this time on himself. He injects himself with a sedative, lies down on the bed, camera rolling. Wee, softly, "I'll see you soon, Glaw." Then, a faint buzz. The interface spikes, the camera flickers, and for a brief second, two figures stand beside the bed. Glaw and Wee, side by side, both smiling. Morning comes. The nurses find his body, but the footage, it's gone. Only static remains. Yet in the hospital corridor, some nights when the lights flicker, you can hear two men laughing, one human, one not. Science seeks answers, but some truths are too heavy for reason to carry. Ghost Lab wasn't about proving life after death. It was about men who couldn't accept loss, who mistook obsession for enlightenment. And in trying to measure the soul, they lost their own. When the police found Dr. Wee's body, his lab looked untouched. The cameras were fried, the hard drives melted down. And yet, one monitor kept flickering, with two faint silhouettes standing side by side. One was Glaw, the other, Wee. Their outlines almost smiling. The hospital shut down the lab. They sealed off the floor, called it a contamination zone. But rumors spread quickly. Nurses whispered about voices near the morgue. Janitors refused to clean the hallways past midnight. And sometimes, when the power dips, you can hear two young doctors arguing in the dark. Their words? Still the same question they died trying to answer. What happens after we die? You know, there's something haunting about how far humans will go just to know. To peek behind the curtain. To touch the unknown. Even when it means destroying themselves in the process. Dr. Wee wasn't evil. Dr. Glaw wasn't insane. They were just desperate. Desperate to fill the silence that follows when someone we love disappears. Because science can tell us how a body dies, but never why the soul lingers. Glaw lost his mother. Wee lost his reason. Both thought, Maybe if they could prove it, they'd never have to feel that emptiness again. But here's the thing about obsession. It whispers like a friend, then eats you alive. At first, you think you're searching for truth, but in the end, truth starts searching for you. When you stare too long into the unknown, it stares back. And maybe that's what happened in Ghost Lab. Maybe the ghosts were never out there. Maybe they were reflections, memories, guilt, and grief made real by two minds that couldn't let go. Maybe the afterlife isn't another world. Maybe it's what's left behind when science meets sorrow. In the months that followed, the hospital replaced Dr. Wee's lab with a new psychiatric wing. Ironically, it was named Ward G13. No one realized what the G stood for, but at night, patients report that sometimes their machines turn on by themselves, and a voice says softly, "Don't be afraid. It's just an experiment." Ghost Lab isn't really about ghosts. It's about the danger of trying to rationalize grief, of turning emotion into data, because some things can't be proven. They can only be felt. And maybe that's the point. The most terrifying truth isn't that ghosts exist. It's that they live inside us, in every regret, every what if, every silence we can't fill. So tonight, if you ever find yourself alone in a dark room and you hear a faint laugh behind you, don't turn around. Because maybe, just maybe, someone's still trying to finish their experiment. This has been Ghost Lab 2021, Proof of the Unseen. Written and narrated in the style of Thai Movie Recap Podcast. A story not about fear of death, but fear of never understanding it. Thank you for listening. Stay curious, but be careful what you try to prove. Thank you for listening to Thai Movie Review and Spoil. This was a heavy one, a story that leaves you with a lot to think about. What are your thoughts on the film? Which scene has stayed with you all these years? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. That's all the time we have for today. Until next time, goodbye.